Well, living in Japan off and on for the last 7 years, we've all felt the tremors, the small earthquakes. Um, so we were expecting the same old, same old. Um, and this one started off the same way, very weak, about 20 seconds into it, it was fine. Moving to about the 30, 45-second mark is really when I started to think to myself, what's going on right now? This is longer than they usually last, and it's starting to gain strength instead of filter out. So about then is when I figured it was not quite your regular earthquake, and the ground began to shake just a little bit more violently, and you could see a lot more movement outside with the vehicle shaking, car alarms going off, and it just kept going. And about a minute 30, right at the 2-minute mark, there's nobody talking to each other. There's just the concerned look on their face, and you would make contact with somebody across the room, and it wasn't the fact that you had to say anything because they were looking the same way you were. And is this really happening right now? Are we really experiencing this event? Because this earthquake was the strongest I had ever felt. It felt like it was lifting our building up and setting it back down and then shaking it around. It lasted between 3 and 4 minutes, which it felt like forever. It never seemed to stop. It continually built, and you didn't know at what point it was going to stop, or was this the one that didn't stop? So I think for us, as the event was going, thousands of things were going through our head. As what do we do next? What do we fall back on? How do we take care of ourselves during this situation and everyone around us? It wasn't until afterwards, once we made sure everybody was okay and everything, that we found out that this was actually the 5th strongest earthquake in the world since 1900 and the most powerful to hit Japan since they started keeping records in the 1800s. It affected the ability for Japan to communicate with itself. Most of the cell phone services went down within minutes of the earthquake and the tsunami. It was another 3 or 4 hours before a lot of the cell phone services be able to pick things up. A lot of the communications within the base here on Misawa, they actually went down, and we were only able to communicate through some texting capabilities on phones and some of the internet browsers on the phones as well.